The sun rises. We get up, we brush our teeth, some of us walk the dog, get ready for school or commute to work. We go about our lives, and on the surface, life looks good for most of us. Everyday places, like the park bench, are like the theatre stage. Upon it, we observe people from all walks of life come and go. Social justice issues are moral issues that we all need to take responsibility for. The decisions we make today affect the next generations. Whether it's a human resource, a world resource, or a decision made by an individual, choices have an effect and can become someone else's failure. The issues that called the Salvation Army into being way back in 1865 are just as relevant today. The Salvation Army has a global reach, but it operates in the details of local communities. At the heart of what the Salvos do is a mission to see a redeemed and transformed world. They seek to achieve this mission through community and social programs that serve the poor and marginalised, putting love into action. The Salvos commenced their work in Australia in 1880, and their mission soon spread to Melbourne, Sydney and Hobart Town. Tasmania currently leads the nation with some disturbing statistics. A youth and skills migration that is leading to an ageing population, high unemployment, increasing alcohol and substance abuse, broken families, poor adult literacy skills and generational poverty. The Salvos are journeying with many of these people. More than 1/3 of Tasmanian households receive a government pension or allowance as their principal source of income. In the face of abnormally high statistics, what should we do? Is it someone else's problem? Should we get involved and make it our collective ambition to see our community as a whole prosper? Or what is it that's stopping these people living a life that we take for granted sometimes? What are the blockages? What are the things we need to help them get over so they can live and really experience what life's all about?
A lot of effort would usually go into it, planning out, knowing when bottle shops would open and having different places that I would drink just so I wasn't seen. You know, maybe stairwells in car parks or bushes down the beach hidden, and, you know, organise a bag for the day, like, you know, we're drinking that, you know, maybe, yeah, some fruit, you know, to chase the wine so I could drink it without being sick, sit for half an hour and drink, and then walk somewhere else and go somewhere else where there's no one, and avoiding everybody. And this pattern would go on every, you know, wake up the next day and the same thing would happen again and again and again, and to the stage where you just think that, you know, it's okay, it's normal, because you're doing it by yourself and you're not hurting anyone.
We just pulled up outside a young family's home here in the Derwent Valley. They live quite in a remote area, and that brings with them some real challenges. Our dad has had some issues in the past with drugs, but he's doing really, really well with that. Mum has some ongoing issues with her health. She has a bad back, and she does battle from time to time with emotional stress. And hopefully we find them pretty well today. Here we go. Oh, Lisa! Steve! How are you, doll? How you going? G'day, Craig.
There you go.
G'day, Tanya. How you going?
Good. Yeah, no,
Oh,
not too
that's
bad.
good.
Not too bad.
Great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Whatever it is that you needed to have a change of clothes, it was just steal it, as simple as that. It was just walk around town and find an old building or find an old house that no one was living in, or even go as far as, you know, sleeping in a lifeline bin just so you had a roof over your head for the night.
I remember not being very happy most of the time, and there was some sexual abuse involved with stepfather, and then my mum just kind of fled to WA, and life got pretty difficult and confusing. stayed with my dad initially, then I went to my mum, and she got sick of me and sent me back to live with Dad. I was feeling quite rejected by my mother. I had a lot of trouble dealing with my stepmother because I knew she'd been my mum's best friend. She caught me smoking some pot and she said to my father, well, either you go or I go. And I got on a lot of drugs pretty quickly after being kicked out of home. Yeah, very heavy drugs, very quickly.
Just waking up in the morning just with that relief, just feeling fresh, like just fresh as a daisy, and be able to have that energy, like to have a nice breakfast, just do some exercise or whatever, and just having that freedom back to be able to jump in the car, go for a surf, or anything you want to do, sort of thing, like not having to worry about that dependency, waking up in the morning, having to have a drink or whatever, that's gone.
The Salvation Army's kept us quite sane through all this. It's terrible to end up in a position where you can't actually do anything to help yourself, and you do actually have to call on somebody else. There's no fun in that at all. I'm certainly very glad that they were there and were able to help us when we needed it, and not come across with a judgmental attitude. It's quite a humbling experience to have to accept that kind of help from somebody. Yeah.
Working closely with the housing department, working closely with the Salvation Army, and actually have the Salvation Army come to appointments and meetings. 18 months we did this for. We got a phone call to say, hey, there's a property out at Claremont, if you guys want to go and have a look. And we only looked through the window and into the kitchen, and we've just said, yep, we want this house. This is the best thing ever. This is wicked. It doesn't get much better than this.
I started coming to Salvos because I was very alone at the time. Had a lot of troubles in life. Just didn't have any friends. Just didn't have anyone to lean on. Yeah, I certainly found it at the Salvos because I could just come in for a coffee, and if I needed to have a chat, and someone would come to the table and, how are you going today? And if you burst into tears, they'd take you into a little room and just have a chat with you for half an hour. So there's always been someone here.
Thank God for the Salvos. Whether it's during an emergency crisis, a call from an elderly person, someone needing help during tough times, a person recovering from drug or alcohol abuse, or a family requiring sheltered accommodation, the Salvation Army responds with a solution to the need, listening, counselling, advocating on behalf of the needy or marginalised, providing advice and giving practical help. Support the Salvation Army today and help us continue caring for people, transforming lives together.